Hey cosplayers, I'm Deadpool, and in today's apprenticeship, I'll be teaching you how to make Deadpool swords and back sheath using PVC pipe and an off-the-shelf thermoplastic. And I'll do it in 5 minutes. Ready? Go!
Those clips you saw at the beginning of the video are from a team-up I did with a huge channel. Stay tuned to the end to find out how to watch the rest of the film. Are you ready to make Deadpool's swords and back sheath?
Deadpool is ready.
Okay, let's get started. I've made a template that prints to scale, makes this build super easy, and is available on my web store for only $2. Begin by downloading and printing off your template. I'll be walking through the process of making one sword, so keep in mind you will repeat these steps to make a second katana. Using the measurements provided in the template, cut your 1/2-inch PVC pipe to length and mark out the handle. We will be heating the PVC pipe to a little past the handle mark and flattening it like I showed you in the Master Sword tutorial. I am using a heat box, but a heat gun and foil works just as well, like I did in the Master Sword build. When the PVC becomes pliable like a noodle, it is ready. Flatten it between 2 boards, leaving the handle section hanging out. If you have clamps, it is helpful to use them in the flattening process. Make sure to keep the handle level as it begins to cool so that it does not become deformed. Once it has cooled for a second, and the handle will move but is not flimsy, quickly pull the pipe and give it a gentle curve as well as a check for straightness. You can run it under cool water when you have it, and you should end up with a slightly curved blade like this. Draw on the tip, using the measurements provided in the template, and then using your Dremel, a sander, file, or razor blade, cut along that line. Reheat the tip and press the tip together, like we did in the Master Sword build. Now we need to create the sheath, or saya, to do a test fit before moving forward. To do this, cut a piece of 1-inch PVC pipe down to size using the measurements in the template, and heat and flatten it, much like we did for the blade, but not as flat. Give it a subtle curve as well. The pipe looks brown here because I'm using some scrap PVC that I had painted previously. Once you have the sword fitting inside, cap off the other end with some softened plastic. Next, we will be adding the Katana Guard, or tsuba. Deadpool's tsuba from the film is square. We will be placing 2 tablespoons of softened plastic at the handle line we marked earlier. Get it into a basic square shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. Let it cool, and then reheating the surface, we can smooth things out and make it more precise. If you need, you can use a razor blade to really clean up the corners like we did on the Han Solo blaster build. You want your square to match the dimensions in the template the best you can. Next, onto Deadpool's handle, or tsuka. Roll out a sheet of plastic large enough to trace your A-piece from the template onto it. I recommend dyeing your plastic black for this piece to save time later, but it's not necessary. Cut your A-piece, heat it up, and give it a wrap. And I don't mean the wrap like Deadpool vs. Boba Fett wrap. I'm talking about wrapping the plastic around the tsuka, yo. Try to keep up, man. Okay, Deadpool, thanks. I can take it from here, okay? Trace the B-piece from your template onto the tsuka on the inside edge of the curve, and transfer the marks on the B-piece onto both sides of the tsuka. Then heat up the plastic on the tsuka and press in lines connecting the markings on either side all the way up the handle. This will really show them haters that Deadpool's swords are too cool for school. You know what I mean, fool? Okay, that's it for the first sword, and because Deadpool's getting a little wound up about how to make his swords, we're gonna give him a little bit of a break as we move on to the back sheath. Once more, roll out about 1 cup of plastic into a large cookie sheet, and using the template pieces, C, D, and E, trace them onto the plastic. Once again, I recommend dyeing the plastic black using the Polyplastics coloring pellets. With your pieces cut out, C will go between the sheaths, D on top of them, and E on top of D. Let's jump in. Make sure as you're attaching C to the sheaths that the sheaths run even with the corners of C, as you can see here. Flipping the bottom sword over in place with C. Line it up and use some scrap pieces of plastic to adhere the sheath to the C piece. It is very important there is a gap that we can run the strap through later. This is your conductor speaking. As you exit, please mind the gap. Please mind the gap. Please mind the gap. Deadpool, get out of here. Don't you have somewhere to rob or people to unalive? Sorry, back to the back sheath. Lay the other sheath on the opposite side of the C piece. Once more, adhere it with some scrap sheet plastic. Next, gently heat the D piece and stick the E piece on top of it. Heat the surface of E gently and shape in an engraved line 1/4 inch in all around the piece, and some little squares on either side of the octagon D piece. Then, heating up the plastic on the sheath, attach the D and E combination to the top. Wahoo! Now you're done with the who's-a-what's-it. Now it's time for the strappy thingy. In other words, Let's put together the shoulder strap. Begin by wrapping 1.5-inch nylon webbing over your shoulder and down your side. Mark the point where it meets at the bottom of your rib cage. Cut the webbing a few inches longer than that mark and slide it through the gap between the bottom sword and C-piece. Place the strap on where it's comfortable, remove the sheath leaving the strap exactly where it is, and use scrap plastic to adhere it to the C-piece so it won't move. Then we will quickly make a shoulder strap. I used 2 4-inch lengths of nylon webbing and a 4-inch by 11-inch piece of some faux leather I bought online. Place the nylon webbing spread evenly on the back of the faux leather and pin a 1/2-inch seam down around all edges, angling the corners in as you can see here. Then sew along the seam. Easy peasy. Slide it onto the shoulder strap and give it a test. Next, take a 4-inch length of the nylon webbing and attach it to a female end of a side release clip. Then take a 12-inch length of the webbing and sew a loop into it that can slide onto another piece of webbing. We're almost there. With the shoulder pad slid onto the strap, pin the ends together at the mark you made previously. Then pin on the female clip piece underneath it and sew it all together nice and strong. Add the male end. You said male end. Deadpool, go eat a chimichanga or something. Sheesh. Sorry, guys. Thread the other side of the side release clip onto the 12-inch loop strap. Slide the loop onto the belt, put on your sheaths, and snap the clips together. Cinch it down and you're done. Yay! Congrats! You did it! Bing, bing, bing! The apprenticeship is complete. Now you know how to make Deadpool's costume swords and back sheath. Give this thing a legit paint job. Silver on the blades and flat black everywhere else. And you'll be cooler than cool. You'll be Deadpool.
Thanks for watching. I love to hear your comments, and I want to hear from you. Tell me below who would win in a fight between me, Deadpool, and the webhead bug boy Spider Kid. Spider-Man. Make sure to subscribe for more great stuff, like Wonder Woman's armor and Captain America's shield. Speaking of Captain America, I teamed up with Ronnie Street of Ronnie Street Stunts to make an awesome Deadpool versus Agent Carter video. It's going to be on Ronnie Street Stunts channel, and it's going to be legit. So check that out. I directed the film. Ronnie plays Deadpool in it, wearing all my gear. And my wife is a talented actress that plays Agent Peggy Carter in the video. So check that out. You can see all my gear debut in both Ronnie's video and also another Deadpool video done by Bell Pond Films. If you love Deadpool, you're gonna love both these videos. Check them out. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and cosplay on, my friends.
Never. Oh, you got my foot. Oh,
Have I ever told you my origin story?